Hey everyone, how you doing? Jody here. I am a soul awakening coach, purpose activator, channel multidimensional healer guide, and I'm here today also unleashing creativity in this live, talking about how to upgrade the world. And I have a wonderful special guest, and his name is Luke Scott. And I'm just going to call him in to get him in here. So give me a second. Be in. So Luke is a good friend and a wonderful mentor. Luke,
Hey, Jody.
welcome, my friend, my good friend.
Amazing. Yeah.
We did it
We
live
did it.
again on Facebook. 3 years on.
We did some amazing interviews previously about shining light on the shadows and going into all of the crazy things that are happening on the planet. And you can check all those out on my Luke Scott official YouTube channel. If you type in Luke Scott Jody Dean, you'll find us some deep, deep dives that we can't talk about on Facebook anymore. But they are still there in the cosmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so great to have you on. Great to be chatting, discussing this wonderful topic today of how to upgrade the world. So, should we introduce you a little bit? Hi, GM Al Imran. Shall we Yeah, so let's just talk about you, Luke. Like, what? Because I mean, obviously, I was, I got to know you about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, and that was the Standout Speakers Academy, which was a wonderful, wonderful experience and training and everything around speaking your truth and public speaking and standing out. And so you were the founder of that, and you created that, and you've done so much before that as well, and now you're doing all this wonderful other amazing stuff. So would you like to share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. Absolutely. So me and Jody played together when I lived in London. I started a public speaking academy because I had this awakening in 2016. I got connected to this thing that I call the creator of all that is. Whatever name you call it is perfect. The thing that creates everything, pure creation, source, energy. And it gives me these missions. I call them callings. It's like it tells me what to do and gives me an invitation to go and do them or not. And one of the things I saw on the planet was that most people were scared to speak their truth. And this was before all of the craziness happened in 2020. This is just in general. Most people, myself included, for the first 27 years of my life, I was pretending. I was totally wearing a mask. I was not authentic. And there were these moments in my life where I let my guard down, but most of the time, my traumas kept me in that place where I had to keep pretending I was this tough guy. But really inside, I'm just so soft and gentle, and I just love hugs, and I just want to be held and supported, and I want to surrender, and I want to be in all of that juiciness that comes with it. And so I set off on this path of learning to do that myself. And on the way, people started asking me, "Whoa, like you've changed. What's happened?" And it's led to this beautiful place, Jody, now where I've just released a course called Quantum Regression. It teaches how you can heal from anything, trauma from your childhood, past relationships, things from even past lives or other dimensions. Sometimes they can affect us too if we let them. And everything in my life can make sense now why I did the Public Speaking Academy and why I've been on such a healing journey, because one of the things that's stopping most people speaking their truth is their trauma or their belief systems. It's the stories they have about themselves. So if we can help unpack all of that, help people really be comfortable in their body, in their skin, in their beingness, everyone then can really change the world. And I believe that's what we're here to do. And I know you're here to do it for sure. I've seen your amazing retreats you're doing, and you're out there in Costa Rica and Guatemala and all over the world, Lake Atalan, and I'm like, oh man, I want to hang out with Jody Dean more.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is again, it's like, and definitely my relationship with you and my experience with you has definitely been a catalyst for that, 100% to come out really and be the shining light that I am, and encourage others to do the same, right? Which is part of the work that I do is that, like, helping us shine that inner light out, that those incredible qualities, those extraordinary gifts that many of us have inside that want to come out. Because I believe that, if you're even listening to this or watching this right now, you have those within you. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be watching, because you wouldn't care about how to upgrade the world, because you'd just be in your little bubble, and you'd be like in your stuff and in your place in the world and doing your thing, and not like whatever. I'm happy watching my daytime television, and being small, and you're watching this, and if you're listening to this, then that's not you. You're something else. You've got a greater calling. You've got a greater mission. You're here for change. You're here for the upgrade, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. And People Self-Select is a great group of books by a guy called Neil Donald Walsh. He wrote these books called Conversations with God, and I just re-listened to his book 4. And it talks about how we're on a mission here on the planet to awaken our species. And he talks about people will self-select, and he's got a website, ihaveselfselected.com. It's basically anyone who is saying, yes, I'm here, let's evolve the species, let's awaken the planet, let's do it, and everyone can get together and hang out and support each other. And this is what I feel we did in London, Jody. We brought a group of people together, we all got our activations, and then everyone went off to different parts of the world to go and spread the magic. We ignite the spark in people's hearts, and then you go and you spread it all over, and it's really beautiful. I call it the ripple effect. That you came and you were already doing a lot of stuff, and then you got this activation, and then I saw it was real quick, wasn't it? Next thing I know, you were doing a podcast, and you'd made a course, and you were going and doing this stuff, and I was like, you just needed a little bit of fuel to your fire. And so many people are like that. They have all these gifts, all this magic. I just literally today had somebody who said, Luke, I'm scared. I know I want to be a healer. I've done Reiki level 1, I've done Reiki level 2. I'm scared to actually hold the space for someone. How can we do that? And just yesterday, I had someone who's a security guard in a nightclub. They just did our course, and they said, I feel confident now to actually hold one-on-one space with people. And this is like, I have some kind of gift or ability to help people believe in themselves more. I don't know exactly how it works, but I think because I believe in them, they believe in themselves more. And they just need that little bit of love and support, a bit of nurturing. Maybe it's because I'm a dad, and that's what I do with my daughter. And it's like just being able to hold that space for people where they can be themselves with no judgment and shine their beautiful lights. And I think if you're watching this, you probably are one of those people too. People come to you when they need help. They do often. You've been doing this your whole life. You can go and get a certification, do the quantum regression or Reiki or theta or hypnosis or whatever you feel like will help you, but you're already an amazing space holder for people, for sure.
Yeah, this is the truth. And I really wanted to sort of double down on that non-judgmental space that you shared about, because that's actually one of the reasons that I loved being in your field and in your academy, because it was this very non-judgmental, nurturing space actually, and it attracted people in, and it's a wonderful environment to grow in. And there was also challenges, and kind of, in a fun, friendly way, and that again it inspired the team, the group to reach further and to expand and grow. And it's really important, and I definitely try to embody that in everything that I share and do. And there's this kind of style of leadership which is heart-centered, and which is about listening to the inner voice, and following that and taking full ownership as well of the shadow and the shit. Oh, I swore. And being that, and fully embodying that and that style of leadership rather than, right, you will do what I say. Style of leadership.
Yeah.
So different.
And we just need to be ignited and inspired sometimes. So I met a guy, he was a public speaker. He used to be an animation engineer. He quit that. He started public speaking and traveled all around the world. And he said to me, hey, do you know you can do the same thing? Everything you're doing in your corporate job now, you could just do that on a stage. Go and teach that to people. Start changing people's lives as your own business. And this like fire lit inside me. And I'm like, yeah. And I went home to my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to help people. And then I'm like, whoa, how do I do that? So I got someone to be my mentor for 12 months. And they were really brave. They were like stepping up. So they inspired me when I was like really down and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is even for me. Having those people around you, the brave ones, they give you the fuel and they're like, come on, you got this, because they've already done it. And it's so nice to be around those kind of people. And then that's what I had the calling to do. I just started being brave. I started being a speaker. I started doing events and workshops and retreats. And then somehow you came into the field, right? And then you're like, whoa, this guy's doing it. And like, now you're doing it. And now people come into your field and they're like, Jody's doing it. And now you inspire them to do it. You help them find their purpose. And it's just so good. I love it.
Yeah,
And it never stops.
It never stops. It's a constant feedback loop. I was just on a call with someone who's out in the world, out in South Asia, and she was saying, I've been following you for years, and I love what you're sharing, and you speak your truth, and yeah, it's you're so inspiring, and I'm one of your followers, sort of thing. And it was so sweet to hear that and to receive that feedback loop from the universe, which was like, hey, keep doing what you're doing because you're changing my life by me being there, So, yeah, this is it. And there's, for example, there'll be people who will come across this talk, this discussion, a year from now, a day from now, somewhere on some platform, and they'll be listening, and we won't know about that, but we'll be having some impact in their lives, and we won't know what that is. But one day, maybe they, show up for a workshop or a retreat or something and say, hey, I found you on this platform, I heard you speak, and it empowered me, and I felt changed. And it's exactly the same thing for us, for being with our mentors and teachers and guides. We encountered them. I remember coming across Abraham Hicks like 15 years ago or something, and listening to Abraham on repeat, like on my phone, for weeks and weeks, and just letting that imbibe into my consciousness, and or Tony Robbins or someone like that, right? And that had a huge impact on my reality, on my mindset and my existence, and changed the whole way I think and do things. And it is this feedback loop. It's just this evolutionary, if that's a word even, feedback loop of creation, right? Where we're just kind of upgrading, and with our intention of this shift and this awakening and learning and expansion and growth and sharing it, right? Because it comes from the heart, it's a heart activation. It's ultimately it's a unity consciousness field that we're all tapping into and tuning into. And whatever framework we want to use to kind of elaborate on that, whether you believe in Buddhahood, Buddha consciousness, or it's Krishna consciousness, or it's Christ consciousness, or it's simply the unified field, or whatever. It's this upgrade that's happening, and it's palpable. And there are scientists out there who are tracking that, like Nassim Haramein, like Rupert Sheldrake, very actually wonderful, incredible people, despite the skeptics, and which are obviously just parroting out the programming and the trauma of the limitations they've experienced earlier in their lives.
Yeah, but you're doing something really leading edge when it's challenging for people to accept. if everybody accepts what you say, then it's already mainstream. So it's like, why would you say it? Obviously, it's nice to reaffirm some things, but for me, that feeling of, whoa, this is edgy. I know when I'm saying something edgy. I have a podcast called Leading Edge Conversations where I interview people living on the leading edge of consciousness. Those real edgy people, like you, Jody, exactly like you. And sometimes when we speak, I'm like, this has probably never been said before. This is going to be paradigm shifting for people if they hear it. And I love when we get to that kind of juice, and all you need is to get a couple of beings together, me and you or whoever it is, and we just start riffing and we find a little flow and we see what comes through. That's because me and you have never been on this interview before. We've never done this at this time. The last time we spoke was about 3 years ago, and that was powerful, but we're different people now. Totally different people in the most beautiful way. So what's your message for people right now, Jody? Deep in your heart, what are you sharing with the world? What do you think the world needs?
So for me, it's this authenticity piece. That's what it is. It's like, you are who you are, and be that, bravely, courageously being that. And that, of course, that can seem kind of blasé and abstract and general and, sort of just go out there and be who you are, sort of, but what it really is in each unfolding moment, accepting and receiving who you are, allowing it to be, and opening and softening. So however that might be, when you're having a conversation with your mum, your lover, your friend, your client, it's just authentically being the unedited, unfiltered, authentic you, and aligning with that at all times, so that actually you are, the word is surprised, because it's the new, it's always the new. That which is unfolding through you, wants to unfold through you, we might call that source consciousness, we might call that higher self, we might call that spirit, we might call that the ascension process, we might call that your true nature, is unfiltered. It doesn't conform to any limitations. And if we allow it to be and come through us, then it is the place of miracles. This is ultimately what this is about. It's living miracles in every new moment. It's breathing them. It's receiving them. It's calling them in. It's opening, surrender. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Wow, Luke, Jody, you speak about these miracles, but how do I know that this is true? How do I know that I'm not just being led down the dark path? Well, how about trying a little opening and softening and showing up and courageously being who you really are, without a mask, without the editing process, without the layers of pretense and pretending, because there's a fear, right? And so then what happens is then there's a revelation of, okay, there's pain and I'm in pain, right? Which is obviously, maybe not obviously, but for me, increasingly obviously, the reason why we have all these toxic behaviors, because it's all a defense from pain. It's not wanting to feel that pain, right? Which is suffering, and is it makes us want to contract, right? I don't want to hurt again, because sensitivity. Because actually, in your essence, you are this pure light and this pure truth and this pure soul, and you went with the game of incarnating into this 3D and then you're transmuting and experiencing this 3D playground, and it can hurt sometimes because it's part of that process. You have a nervous system, and it's like and that's one way to look at it out of multiple infinite realities.
I got a really good word when you were speaking, which is deliciousness. It's like as you're speaking, you can hear Jodie's words, or you can feel them, or you can enjoy them. And like words can be so delicious. Like moments, we can really enjoy the yumminess of them. And when someone's talking to me about softening and opening and relaxing, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like word medicine. That just makes me feel wonderful. But if you're in a trauma response, if your nervous system's not regulated, you might not be able to enjoy the yumminess of it. And so what I really feel the world needs right now, especially since these last few years, since all of the Maya, the illusions have come to the surface more and the shadows are really showing themselves, I think people need to have regulated nervous systems, to be really solid humans. And there's no room now for making excuses. If you haven't taken a piece of paper and a pen and like written down where you want to go in your life, really looked at where you're at right now, what changes can you make so you can be a really solid being? So we're about to have another baby. We're 36 weeks pregnant. It's exciting. And when our new daughter comes to be our second child, it throws everything into beautiful chaos. You know, it's unpredictability. It's hard to know what's going to happen when. And so it's really been like a theme for me, get your foundations really solid. And then once you have solid foundations, you're much better equipped to handle whatever comes and to enjoy the dance of it all. And it's really difficult to enjoy, or it can be difficult to enjoy a dance if you're worried about where your next meal is going to come from, or how you're going to pay your bills, or you're worried about your health, or you're worried about your job, or something like that, right? All of those worries and stresses, they stop you from really enjoying the yumminess of it all. So I think that's where the world is coming to now. So many people are looking more seriously than I've ever seen, like in terms of yoga classes, meditations, conscious festivals, people who are really doing the inner work. There's so many of us now. It feels really, really exciting. It feels like it's growing exponentially. And I think for those people who aren't willing to do that deep work, the next few years might get really, really uncomfortable for them. So this is what we're shouting from the rooftops. Use quantum regression, use EFT, use Reiki or Theta or whatever it is, dancing, movement, some somatic work, breath, whatever you need to do to make sure you're really solid and grounded and regulated. And then let's all dance together.
That's the one. Yeah, it is very much this piece around, grounding and earthing and landing, and finding this balance within. It's huge. And yeah, I was just reflecting as you were chatting about the idea of pain and suffering, and it's like, maybe we don't talk about pain. It's not a cool, fun thing to talk about. There's that going on in the back of my mind. And it's actually, interesting. I wonder where that thought came from. Like that kind of avoiding. Because actually, if we talk about the pain, we address it. And if we address it, then we're bringing presence to it. And pain is a signal of like emergency, right? The signal of like with the wonderful, wisdom of the body and everything and of life, that pay attention here, put awareness here, and When we do that, then there's shift. Actually, there is shift. And of course, when we look at the medical industrial like model, a pill for every ill, painkillers. Who would like some painkillers? Here's a billion painkillers on subscription. The opioid epidemic. It's right, and it's not actually solving anything. It's avoiding. And this is an approach, it's an attitude. And so what we're doing is we're flipping that attitude and going, let's address what this is. Let's actually go to the root of what this is and be fearless and courageous and look and see. And if there's something that needs to move and shift, then let's move it and shift it. If there's something that needs to be let go of, let's let go of it.
Yeah. I know you've just done a 14-day fast cleanse to help yourself and clear your body. And one of the things I think that holds a lot of people stuck, keeps them stuck, are their habits and their learned behaviors and these comfort zones of eating the foods that they liked when they were a kid, but they're not really good for them, emotional eating, watching too much TV, getting caught up in all of the drama around them instead of going and finding peace and solace in nature. All of these things that are the trappings of materialism and this consumer-centric society that we live in, where we have to consume more and more and more in more intricate ways. I've really enjoyed, since I had my awakening, the slowing down. And you called it landing earlier. Like really being with what is and avoiding stuff that's just ineffective. I'm all about efficiency. I love to see, okay, what's the fastest way we can do this? How can we get you back on the right track? And circling around an issue is pretty pointless. If you go to a shaman and you've got an issue, they just tell you this is what you need to fix. But if you go to a GP in England, they don't even ask you. They don't even ask you. They just give you a something to mask it. Right? And my dad, bless him, when he passed, he was on about 40 tablets a day. And most of the tablets were just there to help with the other tablets, like to combat the symptoms of the other tablets. It's a really crazy system. I think we're here to shake it up, Jody. It all starts with people coming and being brave, self-selecting, saying, yes, I'm willing to look at what is, willing to make some solutions, make some shifts, get out of the comfort zone. I love going bathing in cold water, rivers, lakes, ice baths, that kind of thing. Just training yourself to be uncomfortable. I did a singing lesson with one of my favorite singers yesterday. She's called Carrie Tree. She's a beautiful singer. Go check her out. And I asked her to be my singing teacher. And we did a session yesterday, and then I had this sensation in my back and it wanted to be released. And I got shown a vision of me going in the garden, and it's cold here. It's winter in England. It's like frost on the grass. And it showed me, go and lie on the grass with your naked back. And I was like, really? Don't really want to do that. And then I finished my singing lesson with Carrie, and I didn't do it. And then it just came to me, it's like, you need to go lie on the grass with your back exposed so the energy can be released. So I took out my phone and I use my ego. I use it. It's a tool. And I made a video and I said, hey, Carrie, I really don't want to do that laying on the grass thing. So I'm just going to make a video of while I'm on the phone to you so you can see me go and do it. And then I just took the video and I went and I laid on the grass, and it was cold and I got bare feet on the ground, and I just asked the earth to take away anything that wanted to be released. And it was like, even at the stage I'm at where I push myself a lot, still, I don't want to do the things sometimes. It's like, I don't really want to go and get super cold and like do that. But if what the medicine, the spirit, the higher self, whatever, it showed me like clearly, this is what you need to do to fix this issue right now. So if we don't do it, we're actually kind of crazy. And that's where a lot of people are, I think, not wanting to do the uncomfortable thing. But then the paradox is by not doing that short-term discomfort, you get long-term pain and discomfort. So it's like short-term discomfort or long-term discomfort. That's kind of the choice, right? So I think to come back to the title of this video, how we can upgrade the whole world. If we can light a fire in the hearts of whoever's watching this, we can inspire them to be more brave, to be more bold, to speak their truth, to go find help, to really look at themselves and where they're at. We're going to change the world really, really quickly. It's been like 5 years since I met you, I think, ish, something like that. And I have no idea how many hundreds or thousands or millions of people you've helped. It's a lot, I'm sure. Not just like who you've helped firsthand, but who you've helped secondary and tertiary and all the way down, however many lines it's gone now. They have this plan. Oh, I'm getting edgy again. They have this plan, this 2030 plan to make the world a certain way. And we have our plan. When I say we, I've created a group called the Visionaries. So we're the people who have a vision for how we can create a new world, how we can create the world in a new way. And we get together once a month and we just put it into the quantum field. How can we actually end world hunger? How can we actually eradicate homelessness? How can we make it so every being on the earth lives in abundance? And we come up and we bounce ideas off each other and we come up with solutions. So we have this idea, this plan by 2027. So that's 3 years before the 2030 agenda. So by 2027, how we can eradicate violence, poverty, homelessness, abuse, we can eradicate them very quickly. I don't know if there's another group on the earth who are doing the same thing, who are getting together and putting out that, not just like locally, but how can we create this global situation? Global's an interesting word, isn't it? That's a different Facebook Live. How can we create this vision for the whole world where everybody's thriving instead of surviving? So we've got about 4 years, Jody, till 2027. It's about the same amount of time since I first met you. What do you think is possible in those 4 years if enough of us come together, hundreds of us, thousands of us, all around the world? We start project. We all help each other. We share our resources. It's pretty
immense. It's immense. Yeah, I feel, well, as you were saying that, I just got tingles all the way through my body. I was like, oh yeah, oh yes. It's entirely possible. And because we have the internet right now, it's particularly entirely possible. And it is as simple as just doing a little live like this. It could be this, it could be something completely different. These are just, a couple of ways of the infinite ways that it can be done. And it's all about the intention. It's about the intention that we hold within ourselves, within our hearts, and then moving forward and taking action based on the inspired guidance that comes through us in how to deliver, how to move towards the outcome. And it's taking this incredible ownership as well. And yeah, like owning our sovereignty, owning our gifts, owning our truth, and living it unapologetically, our sacred callings. And that's, again, it's like this fractal feedback loop of, like, you or someone had that vision of the visionaries and go, let's do this meet once a month and envision it and call it in. It's anything that occurs to you when you're in this energy of intention, and we're looking towards, right, how do we, in 4 years, how do we I don't know, there's something about the 4 years that I love that's actually really nice and feels really good, but attainable as well. It's like it's not like next year, we've got to do this all by next year. There's a lot that can happen in 4 years. It's 4 cycles. And obviously cycles within cycles, what can happen within a month, right? And then 12 of those in a year, right? And what can happen in a day, what can happen in an hour, like in this discussion, and allowing that to spiral outwards. And this surrender as well. It's this surrender. And it's also about belief, isn't it, Luke? It's about belief. And I like to zero in on that word actually, because I'm very into etymology, and so I really look into the words in the English language particularly. And the word belief, it's right, it's be, and it's live or leaf or love. It's all kind of the same root of meaning. It's like, what are you in love with? What do you live? Right? What are being, right? What are you in love with? What are you living? And what is possible? What are you open to being possible? Being love, being life. What are you living that is possible? What are you allowing ultimately? Surrendering miracles. Are you allowing that possibilities?
Nice. Yeah, I say often that whatever you believe is true. Whatever you believe with all of your heart is true. Some people on the planet believe they can teleport their entire being from one place to another, and so they can. Some people believe they can heal from cancer instantly in a moment, and so they can. Some people believe they can manifest abundance and millions of pounds can come into their account in a moment, and so it can. And everybody has different levels of belief. We've been conditioned since we were kids to think really small. And I love studying these people, these gurus. There's books about it. You can have, I've got a book here. I've got two great books here. This wasn't pre-planned, but a book called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Amazing. Loads of stories in here about enlightened beings who can do all of this stuff. Amazing book here called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. This tells you how to teleport yourself. It literally tells you. I know how to do it, Jody. I'm just figuring out the actual doing of it. And I know fully that it's my level of belief. It's like a master doesn't even believe, a master knows. So there's the story of Jesus or Yeshua turning water into wine, for example. And whether you believe that actually happened or not, it's like, would that Yeshua energy hope the water will turn into wine? They believe it will turn into wine, or do they know it will? They operate from knowing. When I try and speak now, when I don't hope a word will come out, I don't believe it will, I know it will. I've mastered speaking. And it's just the same. It's the same process. I didn't used to be able to speak, but I learned. Maybe one day I'll be able to turn water into wine, or I'll be able to teleport my physical self, or I'll be able to do instant healings. And this is what my path has taken me on now, is how can we really help heal the world in the fastest way? How can we help get everybody in a place where they can thrive? And it's really exciting. So yeah, it's beautiful to speak with you, Jody, as well. It's nice to see you even online. Hopefully we'll meet again in the physical soon. We can play and have some fun adventures.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's really beautiful to see, especially those retreats you were running around Lake Catalan, was it? I was like, if I could teleport anywhere, that's where I want to go.
Well, speaking of that lake and that place, so there are certain points on the Earth and on the grid, let's say, of the telluric currents of what this thing is that we're on that activate more. And that's definitely a place, right? And the ancients and the Noahs and the wisdom keepers, some of them were doing that. They were marking these spots with temples and shrines and stones and that kind of thing. And some of them are just completely like on a flat plain like Stonehenge, and others are like a very particular kind of topography of like a point of a hill or a spring or a waterfall, and that Lake Atitlan in Guatemala is one of them, for many different reasons, and it's huge. These places are hugely activating, and careful what you wish for, because it's like it's power, right? It's power, and I fully feel that place for me was intrinsic to my awakening process and stepping up and speeding up actually. So I wanted to mention that, and there are these places that we're called to on the planet, and definitely part of my journey is going to them and being in that field and bringing others there, right? And the sacred lands of the British Isles are definitely a whole study in themselves, and Ireland as well. And the fact, where you're born and why you're born there is all linked. It's all linked, and the British Isles was this incredible place of knowledge, actually, like thousands of years ago, where the European kind of families, leaders, and royals would send their children to be trained in the British Isles by the Druids and those who came before them. And those codes are in the field, and so I love interacting and interfacing with that, and assisting others, and that's definitely also part of this. So thanks for mentioning about the Lake Atitlan, because yeah, it's been a big wow for me, and all these places that that we feel drawn to, it's like zeroing in on that, because it's power, it's medicine, and it's a resource that can help regulate the nervous system as well, which we talked about earlier. Whether it's jumping in a lake, or it's going and hugging a tree, or going to a sacred site or a waterfall, and just receiving those codes and those energetics is helping upregulate the immune system and the nervous system, and so we are less affected by the stresses and strains of living in the madhouse, which which is the collective consciousness of society and the establishment and all of that kind of stuff, which probably won't go into right now, but is it's something to. So we have all these options and opportunities to give ourselves this medicine, as well as receiving internally with our own knowing. And and so actually you spoke to something there, which is that when I was in Atitlan, I was in a conversation with someone who works a lot with the elders and the wisdom keepers, and there was a conversation about how the older ones speak of their forefathers and their ancestors and their abuelos, they call them, the grandmothers and grandfathers, and how they would teleportation was a norm. It's like, they would just teleport about, and that's in the living memory of the Mayan, the Mayan elders in that place.
Yeah, the real history of our ancestors has been purposefully twisted. If anyone hasn't looked it up yet, go and look up the Tartarian Empire. It will blow your mind. 16th century architecture. In the 1800s, they had fully functioning electric cars. They had everything that we have now, they had then, and just in different ways. And even in ancient Egyptian times, they had these technologies that we have now, but it's all been buried. And there have been wars to burn libraries. So we get all of this knowledge hidden, and they tell you that your ancestors were peasants with pitchforks, but it's just not true.
This is it, and this is also part of this reclaiming our power and our greatness and our extraordinariness, to actually help us believe what is capable and what is possible, because they say that you are the product of everything that you've experienced and your parents and everything else. Well, if you really knew who your ancestors were and all the magic and grace that they held and that they hold now actually in the non-physical for you, it can expand very quickly what you believe is possible and what we believe is, something that is totally actually doable and normal. And so this 4 years of 2027 quantum leaping towards the reality that we want to co-manifest and co-create on this earth is also informed by our expansion of our energy through also understanding our past as well, right? And the true past and all that's come before this planet, right? And then you get into other lives on other planets and all of that good stuff, right? Which is when you start to really pierce the veil and start looking at the parallel worlds and the parallel realities and all the other lives that might be happening or might have happened or about to happen.
Yeah, and I'll leave with this, Jody. This is quite edgy, so I'll phrase it in a way I think is going to be acceptable. There are many suppressed technologies on our Earth that if they were released tomorrow, we could cure almost every illness and injury, ache, pain on the planet. Every single person could be in abundance. There's weather manipulation technology. There's no need for droughts. There's no need for floods. It's all possible to make every place on Earth abundant so people can have food and water. Everything that you see about starvation, famine, war, it's all orchestrated with intention. We could end that next month if they release the technologies that are and have existed on this planet for a long, long time. So it just takes that. If that came out next week, if there was full disclosure and they release these technologies where they can heal anything in moments, boom, everything would change. And so as the consciousness is raising, as more of us are becoming switched on, and as because of the internet, they can't hide these things anymore. I think in the next 4 years, Jody, we can absolutely create this massive change.
I hope to that.
So get yourselves ready, get your foundations really solid, get strong physically, get strong mentally, get strong emotionally, get strong spiritually, get connected, be in community, be brave, train your courage, because what's coming next is going to be freaking amazing. We're in the Great Awakening. It's one of the most exciting times to be alive. This is like the best movie ever. And you can see it as a horror movie if that's where you're focusing right now, or you can see this as the biggest fantasy adventure that's ever come. And we're just getting started. If you saw the Avatar movies, that is literally like foreshadowing what could come, potential futures. They show you in The Matrix, they show you in all these different movies, right? What can happen, what is possible for the world. And I think right now, most of us, we're very limited, but only limited by what we believe. So if you can expand that, if you can just think, by 2027, of course, we can have a world where everybody lives in peace and abundance, and we can.
We can. Thank you, Luke. This has been a phenomenal journey of remembering through words.
It's nice to see you again, brother.
Yes, and you. I really look forward to meeting in the physical somewhere soon, and sharing the magic with you, whether that's in a field in England or in a retreat center in Costa Rica or Bali or wherever it is. I'm so excited.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
All of those.
Yeah. All of them. Hawaii, Sedona.
Lots of love, Jody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luke. It's been such a pleasure. Yeah, and if anyone's interested, go check out Luke's. Put a link in here. I'll put it in wherever I post this. for his training that he's doing. And the Purpose Accelerator that I'm offering is launched. So come and check in, have a conversation with me about it. It's all about this power that lies within and being it fully, So take care, guys. Thank you for listening. Share your magic.
Be brave. You got this.
Bye for now.